There was too much. Blah, blah, blah. All right, let's go. Hi, my name is Colleen Theophil, and this is Live a Life You Love, the podcast. And if you did not know, I'm an emotional intelligence coach, and my main job on this podcast is to help you go from simply surviving to thriving by teaching you how to manage your emotions and thoughts and using that information to now generate momentum in your life. So today we want to have a conversation about loving ourselves, but doing this via understanding ourselves. One of the questions that a client recently asked me was, Kel, how do I know that my identity is rock solid? How do I even go about recognizing if I need to work on my identity? How do I subtract or extract is the word I'm looking for? How do I extract from within myself the information that I need to know whether or not I fully understand my identity? And then the person asks me furthermore, how do I build this identity? How do I build this identity? Now, if you looked at the previous episode, I gave you an idea of the 3 things to measure how you actually know if your identity is rock solid. So go back and listen to that video. We talked about it was 3 simple things: how you feel about yourself, how you treat yourself, and the decisions you make about yourself. So that gives you the template to understand if your identity is something that you need to work on based on your answers to this. For this episode, I want us to now recognize, or rather talk about, how to build on your identity and the things that you can actually use to solidify who you are. And so there are 3 areas that I want us to take a look at that really gives you an idea of who you are. And now, always remember with me, every piece of information that you extract is to be used for what? Momentum. Because that's what we want. I don't want anybody to say that they are stagnant in life. The first, or one of the most crucial things that gives us an idea about who we are, is actually our core values. Too many of us do not take core values very seriously. And core values are very simply those things that you hold dear or near to you, that you build your life on. So for example, some of my core values include integrity, honesty. Family is one of my core values. My world runs on, or I make decisions based off my family and making sure that my family is okay. Those are core values. Creativity is a very large core value for me because it's something that I am creative, and so everything in my life is going to seem creative because that's how I work. Faith is a part of my core values. So when I say core values, it really is, what are those fundamental things that you build your life off of? And this is so crucial in understanding who you are. Why is that? Most of us don't understand that most of our emotions, especially the emotions that we consider negative, which really aren't negative emotions, usually come when a core value is broken. So a good example I'll give you is, and we will talk about that in later episodes, is that most times when we have a reaction, so for example, when somebody get angry, when you get vexed and your head get hot, people just be like, well, yeah, I feel like I handle because I get vexed. Not understanding that anger is what I call a secondary emotion. What does that mean? It is a secondary emotion because it's reactive. You became angry because something happened, which therefore means that there's an underlying problem that exists. And most times, which I have seen and from my experience, the underlying issue is that a core value was breached, and hence your response was anger. It's the same way two people could be in the exact same situation, their core value is breached, and they have 2 different reactions. So one might be anger for somebody, one might be sadness for somebody else. You see the difference? So we have to understand, if you're able to pinpoint what your core values are, then it's going to help you really have a good handle on who you are. This looks like another way this looks like, so that's boundaries. Another way that this is evident is in triggers. If you know your core values, then you know what you're most likely to be triggered by. So for example, I am somebody who, one of my core values is politeness and treating people with kindness. If you're around me, and it's not just in my own house, I know this about myself. I am somebody who operates out of kindness. I am somebody who operates out of consideration. However, it means that when I encounter people that do the opposite, I am triggered. If I meet somebody who's rude, I am triggered. If I meet somebody who's treating others unkindly, I am triggered. I know this because of the fact that I hold these things very dear. Now, what's the advantage of understanding my core values and understanding what triggers me? I am now able to properly manage it. Because I know I can't stand rudeness, If I walk into a room and somebody is rude, instead of jumping across the table for them, I already have measures in place. I was like, you know what, Kelly, not everybody has the same principle for your life. So it therefore means I have to give that person space to be there. Now, of course, if you're rude to me, that's a whole different conversation. But my point is this: I understand my trigger. Because I understand my trigger, I understand now how to put measures in place to secure myself so that I do not become triggered to the point of explosion or emoting more than I need to. So this is why your core values and understanding what your core values are is very crucial in terms of understanding who you are and understanding your identity. So that's point number one. The second thing that I want us to understand that really speaks to our identity, and sometimes we cast it aside, is the experiences that have shaped us. Now, I understand that some of us, our experiences have been rough. We know that. I acknowledge that. And it is easy to sometimes want to cast it away, to forget about it, to push it aside. But it's a part of who we are. And so we have to understand that part of who we are, the things that happen, but here's how you deal with it, especially those past experiences that may not have been best, may not have been your best choices. You learn to extract lessons from them. What did I learn about myself during that time? What did I learn about my environment? What did I learn about people? And use that as a way to navigate your life going forward. And so our experiences, the way we were brought up, really does shape who we are. So we can't ignore it. Yes, you're like your mother. It's because you grew up like that. You grew up in that space. However, understanding that gives you the opportunity now to change. I think I said it in a podcast before, you cannot heal what you hide. So you cannot change your personality or your character if you first don't acknowledge that you have an experience that shaped who you are. So just own it. Own that this is something that has happened. Own that it wasn't the best experience. Own it, and then understand that you are located in this present time, in this present space. And with that information, you can now use it to move forward. And so use it to the best of your advantage, but you have to first own it. Yes, it was rough. We acknowledge that. What are you going to use with it now? Use it now to create momentum in your life. So that's the second thing. You have to own your experiences. Own the things that bad breakup, that really mash you up, sis. Own it. But you're out of it now. So what are you going to do different moving forward? You understand what I'm saying? And so that's two. And then the third thing is, which I really want us to grasp. If you want to really solidify your identity and really come into your own, I need you to recognize what your skill set is. What's your superpower? If I were to ask you what is your superpower, what would you answer and say? Do you know what you're properly equipped with to make momentum in your life? The reason why this is so important is because when you are fully able to identify that, listen, this is the skill set that I have, the world opens up to you. A lot of people are stagnant because they refuse to acknowledge their superpowers. If it is that Clark Kent was like, well, okay, my eye burning, I could maybe shoot a laser ball, wear glasses instead. No disrespect to Scott from X-Men. But my point is this. If he decided to not use it, then he would not have used it to his advantage. He'd be like, no, it's just, I need to wash my eyes because it's burning. Versus like, nah, this is laser strength, so I could use this to get me out of difficult places. Some of us have skill sets that should be used to get us out of difficult places. So what's your sweet sauce? What's that thing that only you could do that you need to allow to be a part of you? And it's easy in our culture to be like acknowledging what you're good at is being prideful. Listen, one of the things that I have always known is that not acknowledging what you're good at is a disrespect to God. It's a disrespect to the way that you were created, the way that you were designed. There's a reason you have been given a skill set, and that is to do whatever it is to create the momentum. There's this scripture verse that says, your gifts will make room for you and bring you before mighty men. It therefore means that you want to do this. Why is not happening for me? You're using your skills. You're using what you was meant to use, and the answer is no. And so if you really want to come into your own, you really want your identity to be solidified, I need you to now sit down and really get a handle on what you're gifted. I believe I spoke about this in our resolution conversation. And I'm reiterating again, what is it that is in your hand that is meant to bless somebody else, that is meant to be used for somebody else? And so understand what your skill set is. Simple way to figure out what you're skilled at. What is it that you're naturally talented to do? What is it you get complimented on a lot? What are you called on regularly to get done? So when something needs to be done, hey, call Kel. She's the one not good at it. What have you learned that you develop as a skill you went to school and studied for that could be used to advantage? All of these things are crucial to who we are. And all of these things you realize, your core values, your experiences, and your skill set could create momentum in your life. So no more I feeling stuck. No more I don't know who I am. Sit with the first episode and sit with this episode and allow it to really wash over you, and then we will create some plans. Now, of course, if you have a bit of a struggle creating a plan, I do have coaching programs designed to help pull that out of you. So, of course, hit me up. Let's have a conversation. So, just to reiterate what we talked about today, understanding your identity and firming up on it takes these three things: understanding your core values, allowing the experiences that you have lived through to work for you, and then 3, owning your skill set, owning your superpowers. So guys, make sure and do my homework. This episode was full of homework. Sit down with it, write out in these 3 areas. Hit me up and say, Kella, do my homework. I want you to check it over. Yeah? So this is Live a Life You Love, and I'm Kelly Theophil, and I will catch you on the next episode.